Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is iTalk here, and in today's video we have a brand new video. It is time for us to read yet another comic. We did this with the Fortnite Batman thing, and now we're doing Fortnite Marvel Zero War. So we have the first issue here. It took a bit for me to get it because the Marvel Unlimited subscription wasn't working, or it wasn't there. I don't really know what happened, but nonetheless, we do have it now. Thanks to Amazon Kindle, I'm actually able to view it. So that works, right? I'm not going to get the skin through this, but I don't really care too much about that. I'll get the skin later on. I'm just happy that we have it now. So yeah, let's just get right into it. So first page here, bartender says, "Ain't seen you in a while, Patch. Wasn't sure you'd be back." And Wolverine is there saying, "You ought to know by now, I always come back." Same again. Spider-Man pops in saying, "Oh, bartender, can I have a Fresca, please? Extra ice." Wolverine just says no. Spider-Man responds saying, "No, what?" And then Wolverine responds saying, "No to whatever insane crap you're fixing to drag me into, Spider-Man. I come here to get away from that kind of thing." Jonesy just comes out of nowhere and says, "I'll take a pufferfish daiquiri. I hear it's local delicacy. Or is that reality 617? Wolverine then says, "Y'all have till the count of 3 to get out before I throw you out. 1, 2. Then the Imagine just shows up and says, "Little room, Jones. I'll have whatever's strongest." Moving on to the next page here. Continuing on, she says, "What are you looking at? Short, dark, and hairy." And then Wolverine responds, "A reason I might actually listen to Spider-Man's pitch." And then she responds back to, "If that's what passes for courtship in your reality." Wolverine interjects by saying, "Sure, you're easy on the eyes, but you also make Webbs nervous, and I enjoy that." Spider-Man responds saying, "Nervous? Me? Ha!" And I say again, ha! It's not like every pretty redhead makes me perspire through my Spidey suit. The material was supposed to prevent sweat stains. Oh man. And the Imagine responds saying, "I am the Imagine. This is Agent Jones. We need your help, Wolverine. I thought Spider-Man was the best one to explain things to you, being from your world. I still mostly think so." Then Wolverine responds saying, "Bartender, drinks for these people." The guy in the webs is paying, and then Spider-Man responds saying, "Fine, I think one of my credit cards has some wiggle room." He continues on by saying, "Okay, you might have heard about a chunk of Manhattan, including the Daily Bugle, and me incidentally disappearing." Then Wolverine says, "You find yourself a black costume again?" Then Spider-Man responds by saying, "Not this time. We ended up on some Fakata Island. It's in a different universe, the place where every reality came from. The source of that really big bang is a ball of energy called the Zero Point. For a super long time, the Zero Point's been controlled by this evil sciencey outfit named the Imagine Order. They do evil sciencey things like snatch people from different realities and make them fight each other. One time they grabbed some folks from here, Thor, Iron Man, and you, Wolverine, from what I hear. I wasn't hurt to be left out, maybe a little. Anyway, things are way worse. The Imagine Order decided to pull the plug and start over, wipe out the island and everyone on it. Trying to stop them, we have the 7, except there are only 6 of them. That's a whole other story. Our redhead here is one of the 7. We have what looks like a flashback here with the Foundation saying, "Hit him with everything you got. We need to take this outpost at any cost. That's our ticket onto the bridge." And then Spider-Man continues his monologue saying, "Their leader's a big armored guy called the Foundation. Imagine Tony Stark was Nick Fury but built like the Hulk. Besides Jones, the 7's army is made up of what we call loopers, and I don't mean golf caddies. They're folks who've been kidnapped from other realities. The 7 are slowly pulling them out of the loop, the never-ending fight I mentioned." And then we have the Foundation here saying, "We've got this. Even if they seal the door, we can just break in. We just have to make sure they don't." Then this next panel here, we actually see Sloan and Gunner there. Sloan saying, "Let's cut our losses, Gunner." And then Gunner responds, "Copy that, Dr. Sloan." And then Spider-Man keeps going by saying, "In the loop, if you get killed, you come right back to life to fight some more." And then we hear some sounds here. Then Spider-Man says, "That's never a good sound." Foundation says, "Everyone down." And then we have outside the loop, it's a little more permanent. And then we see 8-Ball talking and saying, fish stick, why you?" And then Foundation responds by saying, "That's not fish stick, it's a snapshot, one of the duplicates the island makes of people in the loop." And then 8-Ball then says, "Wait, really? Oh, thank the Sacred Triangle." And then the Foundation then responds by saying, "The real fish stick died a while ago. I'm sorry for your loss, 8-Ball." And then he just responds by saying, Hold on, what? So, I just want to cut here a little bit. This is actually interesting that they actually go back to the Batman comic here, because if you have watched my Batman Fortnite videos, which I probably would recommend you guys check those comics out too. I have a whole reading of all of those issues over on my channel. You would know that, spoiler alert, Fishstick does actually die in the Batman Fortnite comics. But then moving on, Jones says, hey, we got them to blow up their outpost and take out a bunch of their own guards, so yay? The Foundation then responds by saying they can replace the guards from any of a billion realities. The outpost means nothing. Stalemates are losses for us. We know they're working on a weapon of mass destruction. We need more power on our team, a game changer. And then I can't tell who this is. I believe this would be the Visitor. It just looks a bit different. And he says, I have thought about that. Then we have the Origin here saying, we're listening, Visitor. So it was the Visitor then. Okay. The Visitor then responds by saying, you all remember the Mecha Paradigm built. The Paradigm is the missing member of the Seven, kind of a sensitive subject. She did a heel turn, changed sides, and joined up with the Imagined Order. Moving on to the next page here. She helped them build a giant robot mecha that she piloted against a giant monster, or kaiju as the kids say. The mecha took a beating and lost an arm, but won the fight. Afterward, it did a dance that's kind of a thing there. Lots of dancing. I came up with my own wanna see? Okay, sure, maybe later. Anyway, then the mecha blasted off into the sky, never to be seen again. The Seven weren't around for that. They heard about it from Jones, but the Origin is big on research. Foundation then responds by saying, interesting, Origin. You traced the mecha's flight path, right? And then the Origin responds by saying, I did. It crash landed onto the moon. Orbiting the island, presumably the Paradigm was seeking other creatures. Considering the icy stretch of land the monster came from was actually a fragment that broke off the moon long ago. But that moon is an ice body, extremely hostile environment. Deadly cold hurricane force winds. There's been no word from the Paradigm since if she survived the crash, she would have soon died of exposure, and the mecha was badly damaged. Presuming we could get there and live, it would take more time than we have to rebuild it. Foundation then says, scientists, any way to accelerate the process. That mecha would give us the firepower to turn the tide. The scientist then responds by saying, well, there are some things I could try, assuming we can reach the moon and survive there, but there's tremendous risk. The cold could crack even our armor, and any ship we flew there would likely be brought down by weather conditions. Spider-Man then responds by saying, hey, great plan, loving all the likely to die stuff, but let's put a pin in it for a sec. If I can get back to my world, I can recruit a whole army of tough customers. Some of them have even been here before, but they were just the tip of the iceberg. We got a whole universe of them, and we love to all get together for cosmic emergencies. And then the Order shows up and says, we do have one of the Imagined Order's portal devices, but it's only got 2 charges left. And then we have the scientist here saying, yes, but each charge can bring in an indefinite number of beings back to this island. The Origin then says, and from what Jones told us, 2 of Spider-Man's allies manipulate weather. Spider-Man butts in and says, yes, Thor and Storm, they totally sign up for this, I hope. And then the scientist says, if they can ease conditions on the moon, one plan could serve the other. I say it's worth using the portal device. The Order then says, but that only gets Spider-Man back here to get home. He needs access to the 0 point itself at the center of the Order's stronghold. And then Spider-Man says, hey, stealth is my thing. Stealth and quips. Stealth, quips, and webs. My 3 things. Plus power and responsibility. 5 things. And then Jones then says, I used to work directly with the 0 point. I can guide you to it. I know the path of least resistance, and adapting to different realities is my thing. And then the Foundation then just says, fine, I'll cover your backs, but just to the 0 point, I'm needed here. And then Spider-Man then says, alright, I'll be back in a flash with the cavalry. And then the Origin then says, actually, seeing as the gun has 2 charges, after you send your allies back here, there's something I'd like you to do. What did you have in mind, Origin? Spider-Man then says, and then the Origin then responds by saying, my vocation and advocation is the study of various realities. When we briefly seized the bridge before the island flipped, I was able to access the Imagined Order's database and learn something interesting. Back when Galactus attempted to devour the 0 point, even though he was driven away, he dislodged a small fragment, and the Devourer was forced back to your reality. That fragment went with him along with your allies. As best as I can determine it, the fragment crystallized during its passage and ended up on your Earth. Then next page here, during its battle with the monster, the mecha recharged itself by grasping the 0 point. If you can bring back that fragment, it may enable us to power up the mecha in seconds instead of months. And then Spider-Man then says, you want me to miss the big battle again, huh? Fine, it's kind of my trademark now. I'm on it. The Order then says, my sister's going too. It's not that we don't trust you. And then the Imagine then says, it is that we don't trust you. Jones was one of them, and we don't know the skinny guy at all. And then the Order then just says, we just have a personal stake in this. So then Spider-Man says, care to elaborate? And then the Imagine says no. And then Spider-Man just says, fair enough. I also prefer wiry. The Order says, you sure you want to do this alone? And then the Imagine says, they can spare us both. Order, I'll be back soon, and then we'll get what we've waited for so long. And then the Order says, be careful. Then the Foundation then says, all right, Jones, any thoughts about the best way in? And then Jones says, oh, do I have thoughts? Prepare to marvel at my genius. See, that's where they dump out toxic waste. Spider-Man then says, into the ocean. And oh, we're supposed to wade through toxic waste and not get noticed and murdered in the process. The Foundation says, the ocean will expel the waste into our void around the island. As for getting in, press yourselves close to our armor and the cloaking will cover you too. Body heat, sound energy will be undetectable. The Imagine then says, watch the hands. Spider-Man then says, you're literally encased in armor. And then the Imagine says, armor that can incinerate you. Next page over, engage cloaking. We go silent from here on out, says the Foundation. The Imagine tells Spider-Man he's talking to you, and then Spider-Man just says, I know. Then it looks like we have some IO guards here, and they just say, I'll be glad to not have to do this anymore. I swear it's going to give us cancer. We don't have that in my reality. Yeah, but you've got those parasites that burrow into your... And then there's a punch, and then Spider-Man says, why aren't we cloaked? I liked it better cloaked. Then the Foundation says, uses too much power. I'm jamming any monitoring equipment instead if anyone comes and sees us. And then the Imagine says, too bad for them. Spider-Man says, so this thing, the doors in the ceiling, that's because the whole island is flipped over? And then Jones says, yeah, the Imagine Order seems to have cleared this area pretty well, but they're obviously got other priorities besides redecorating. Then Spider-Man then says, good, because I thought maybe Mysterio was messing with me again. Foundation says, what's the matter? Have they changed things? And then Jones says, not the layout, aside from it being flipped, but the new machinery. It's designed to transmit an insane amount of energy. The Imagine then says, Foundation can wreck it on the way out, keep moving. Jones then says, relax, we're doing great. The secret doors for crisis event escapes. It'll take us what used to be my office. It's exactly as I left it, except, you know, upside down. The Foundation then says, get nostalgic later. The 0 point's right across the hall, isn't it? Then Jones says, yeah. You guys go ahead, I'll cover our backs. And he pulls out something out of this picture frame. I actually don't know what this is. I can only imagine what that would be, though. And then Foundation says, that's it, the source of everything. Jones then says, the excavation's gone faster than I expected. Spider-Man then says, wow, I've never seen quite anything like it, and I've fought a giant armadillo. Foundation then says, don't touch the 0 point until Jones calibrates it. Spider-Man then says, or what? And then he responds saying, or every cell in your body will be ripped from the others and sent to different realities. Spider-Man then just says, cool, cool. I'm just going to stand over here and keep my hands to myself. Foundation then just responds saying, hurry up, Jones, will watch the door. Something hits him, and then someone says one step behind as usual. And it appears that was Sloan, and Sloan is here with Gunner. Sloan responds by saying, using the secret door to Jones's office was a mistake. I had it alarmed. It didn't take a genius, which I am, to figure out where you were headed. Don't bother running. I diverted troops from the surface. They're on the way. Thoughtful of you to walk straight into the room containing the one thing that can kill even you on contact. Gunner toss him into the 0 point. Foundation responds saying, stick with the plan. I've got these two. And then Jones says, Gino, I promised you Gino, and here he is. And then Foundation says, that's not Gino. I knocked this guy out from when I saved you from this place. You think Gino would go down that easily? Jones then says, not Gino. So all those times I thought I was meeting with the big boss. And then Sloan says, ha ha ha, you think Gino has time to waste on the likes of you, Jones? The Imagine then says, focus, Jones, do your job. Jones then says, that's what I did. My job for centuries, and the boss didn't even know my name. Spider-Man then says, it's better when they don't, trust me. Then it's all yelling and screaming and wanting pictures on their desk by noon. There's some fighting that ensues, and then we have the Imagine saying, we need cover, you the skinny one. And then Spider-Man says, wiry, and I've got it. Jones then says, just need another minute. Spider-Man then says, we don't have a minute. Go, go, go. I've got to figure out how to make sure they don't follow us. That's what Jones says. And then Spider-Man then says, on it. Jones says, what are you doing? And then Spider-Man says, making sure they can't follow us or killing us both. Who can tell these days? And he shoots something out of his hand, and he actually stops it from going off, making it so they can't actually go into the 0 point. So then they say, no, damn it. Jones, you are extra fired, and you, Foundation, are dead. Gunner, on my mark, 1, 2, and then they punch the Foundation. Gunner then says, knocked him straight through the ceiling. Think he's dead? Then Sloan says, I thought he was before and been wrong, but it doesn't matter. Our enemies' numbers are reduced. The Imagined, Jones, and Spider-Man are gone. Whatever they're planning will take time, and they don't realize how little time they have. Then elsewhere, then Spider-Man says, don't throw up in the mask, don't throw up in the mask. And then Jones says, deep breaths, it'll pass. We got a bigger problem. I told you the Imagined was not to antagonize the locals, but well, you've met her. Captain Marvel ran into the Imagined, or vice versa here. Captain Marvel says, your energy signature is alien. Where'd you come from? And then Imagined says, your worst nightmare. Captain Marvel then responds by saying, you know what? Never mind. You're going back the hard way. Then Spider-Man comes in and says, Captain Marvel, wait. Imagined, stop. We're all on the same side. Also, please don't kill me. Then Captain Marvel says, Spider-Man, I saw you on the ground. I thought she beat you unconscious. Spider-Man then says, what? Why would you just assume? And then the Imagined says, to be fair, I've won it too many times. Spider-Man then responds by saying, actually, it's great we ran into each other. Get on the Avengers phone. Call everyone. East Coast, West Coast, Secret, Mighty, heck, call Avengers Academy if that still exists. Then Captain Marvel says, it's not really called the Avengers phone. And then Spider-Man then says, we need a big hero meeting. Moving on to the Avengers Mountain here, the body of an ancient dead celestial covered into the headquarters of Earth's mightiest heroes. It says, so yes, obviously some folks need to stay and take care of our world, but every reality is in danger. So the more of us who go, the better. Anyone who's been there before is one step ahead. So Thor, Storm, Iron Man, you're all at the top of my list. Like I said, I'm staying, but everyone who's going, gather to the left, squeeze together like for a class photo. I'll zap you into... that's all I got. And can I just say that this was awesome? I never get to run these meetings. It's a total rush and scary. Can everyone stop looking at me now? Iron Man then responds by saying, okay people, I've already generated a list of who goes and who stays based on optimal power set applications. Listen up. Then Spider-Man then says, so much for me running the meeting. But I'm kind of relieved. I'm not really management material. Jones then says, I hate setting out the war. The three of us need to find that fragment fast. The Imagine then says, my onboard systems have tracked its general arrival point within a radius of 100 of your miles. But there's some background interference in the area. Are either of you an experienced tracker? Spider-Man then says, not without a spider tracer, but I do know someone who is. And right before I sent them to the island, Storm told us how to find you. It all makes sense now, right? Dude, I couldn't even follow it if I was there, Jones says. Listen, Mr. Wolverine, he told it all wrong, allow me. To really understand this, we have to go back to the beginning of all creation. The Imagine then says, it'll be the best fight you ever had. Then Wolverine says, I'm in. Spider-Man then says, really? That's all I had to say? Wolverine then says, pay the man webs, I've got to hit the head. And then elsewhere, we see Dr. Doom saying the fools are behaving as expected, stumbling about like blind bulls. I shall attend to the matter with ease. Do not concern yourself with them any further. Gino. And then Gino supposedly responds saying, your assistance is greatly appreciated. Dr. Von Doom, we admit very, very few of our inner circle, but of all in the Omniverse, you may have been the easiest choice. Welcome. You are already a valued addition to the Imagined Order. To be continued, and that is the end of issue number 1 of Fortnite X Marvel. So then we have issue 2 coming, I think, in about 2 weeks. I will read that as soon as we get that issue. But guys, that is it for this comic reading. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know with a like and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. And if you'd like to use me for support a creator, my code is ITF. Hey, if you like candles, check out wiccandskull.com and use code ITF to save 10% off of your order. I burn them every single day. They are very good candles. Guys, that is it for the video today. Hopefully you guys have yourselves a wonderful day or night, and I will talk to you all later. See ya.